Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3835BN. Today's date is February 8th, 2026, and the title of the episode is The Fog of War is Lifting, the Enemy is in View. We are in the final countdown. You know what's interesting? Every day there's a new beauty gimmick taking over social media. It seems like people are wearing 10 different mask tapes and patches to bed just to wake up glowing. But in 2026, we know that glow is just trapped sweat that disappears by noon. If you want skin that actually stays firm, you have to stop obsessing over the surface and start loading up your collagen internally. This is why Aegis Multi-Collagen is a non-negotiable part of my day. Unlike those viral gimmicks, Aegis Multi-Collagen provides 5 premium types of collagen that works from inside out to help reduce wrinkle volume, bring back my youthful glow, and restore my skin's natural bounce. It's flavorless, clump-free, and specifically designed to be highly bioavailable, so it actually reaches my cells. Since I started, my skin has the natural hydration and elasticity that no night mask or face tape could ever replicate. To celebrate Valentine's, get 51% off Aegis Multi-Collagen at healthwithx22.com. Every order includes a glow-up bundle with free VIP coaching for life, the 14 Foods for Amazing Skin ebook, and free shipping. Plus, it's all backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee. Head to healthwithx22.com now to claim your 51% discount before it expires, or just click the link in the description. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, you can see that the people of this country, they're starting to figure out who the true enemy is. And that's what this is all about. Remember, the deep state players, for a very long time, they've been dividing the country, pitting each other against each other, and trying to divide us via race, color, political status, you name it. And they've been doing this for a very long time. And now, throughout all of this, what's happening is the fog of war is starting to lift, and the people of this country, they're starting to realize who the true enemy is. Slowly but surely, the enemy is now coming into view, and people are starting to see that everything that they were told is a complete and utter lie. And the people of this country, every day that passes, they're starting to see more and more that the Democratic Party, they are for criminals. They're for the illegals. They're for everything that we're completely and utterly against. Even though in the very beginning, they convinced people that they were on your side. Remember, this is what criminals do. They're very good at spinning everything. And I think people are starting to realize this. And they put on suits and they made you believe, I'm just like you. I want the same things. And they used emotion. And now people are seeing through this. What we're witnessing right now is the final countdown to the midterms. Because Trump knows how important the midterms are. And he realizes and he understands that we need to get as many people on the side of common sense before the midterms. Now, he's going to do this in many different ways. Number one, the economy. Make the economy great. Make people's wages go up. Make jobs plentiful. Stop the inflation from rising. Keep it steady so prices are not going up, which really means the value of the currency is not devaluing as quickly as it was before. Have gold go up in price, and show the people, look, the economy's getting better. And once tax season is over, and I do believe soon tax season will be gone for good, people are going to get incredible refunds. And this is due to the part that he wanted the one big beautiful bill. When people get more money in their pocket, you know what this does? It makes people happy, makes people feel good. As the interest rates come down, which they will start after May, because you're going to see the new Federal Reserve chair, they're going to bring the rates down quite a bit, which means more people are going to buy houses, and people that are trying to sell their houses, it's going to make it that much easier, which means people are going to be happier. And once he actually releases the dividend from the tariffs, people are going to be happier once again. So once again, he's putting everything into motion to make the people feel good. And you could see that it is working now. And it will work as we move forward. And as we move forward, he's going to show everyone who the true enemy is. All the fingers will be pointed at the D's. They are going to go against common sense. And people are going to see this. And people are going to know exactly what they're doing. Because you have to remember, the midterms are a very powerful election. And Trump knows we need a foolproof way of winning the elections. And what is that? That is the SAVE Act. If you notice now, even the fake news, they really can't work around it. The people of this country, the black, Latino, white, you name it, everybody wants voter ID. Everybody wants to make sure that the elections are on the up and up. The only people that don't are the people that cheat in the elections. And that's what people are seeing. So Trump, he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on the D's, and people are going to see that we must pass the SAVE Act. Now, again, the D's, the RINOS, they're all going to fight against this every step of the way. And the only way to get people to see it is to actually show them. And this is why we have the investigation going on with Fulton County right now, because people must see how they cheated, where illegals use stolen identification. They use social security numbers. They use paper ballots. They use all of this to cheat in the election. And once people see this, I think it's going to be a no-brainer, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on the RINOs, on the D's, and all of those individuals that fight against it. This is going to be a complete and utter disaster for them. Yes, they could try to use Jim Crow. They could try to use all of this, but in the end, it's all going to fail. And every step of the way, you know what Trump is doing? He's exposing the Clintons. He's exposing Obama. He's exposing all the treasonous acts that these people have committed. And it's coming from all different directions. Benghazi, Epstein, soon uranium, how they interfered in the 2016 election, the 2018 election, the 2020 election, actually overthrew the United States government in 2020, how they interfered in the 2024 election, and how they're going to try to interfere in the 2026 election. And once people see this, it's game over. And you can see this is why the deep state players are making it a point where they don't want ICE in their cities, in their states. And this is why you see, like out in Ohio, out in Massachusetts, Boston, in Chicago, and all these other places, if you notice, they're all doing the same exact thing. They're creating executive orders saying we will not allow ICE in our areas. So they know what they're planning to do. They know they need the illegals in this area. They know they need them to cheat the elections. And if ICE is coming in to deport them, they lose the ability to cheat. So once again, they're going to fight to the very end. And the other thing that's very interesting is it seems like the EU is losing the ability to censor, which means they're probably going to take it to the next step because countries are not going along with the EU Digital Act and they're actually fighting against it. So in the end, when they can't censor that way, you know what happens. They censor a different way. And I do believe that's probably what we're going to see. And this is the path that we're heading down. And I think Trump is leading them down this path because, again, what he's doing now, he is putting all the pieces into alignment to bring down the deep state, the central bankers, and everything else. Because you have to remember, this is not about a 4-year election. This is not about, hey, let's just keep the system the way it is, and we'll just make it a little bit better and go along our merry way. Yeah, we tried that in the past. It didn't work. What we have to do is we need to expose the entire system, expose the entire criminal syndicate, let the people see it, and then remove it and take back control. And this is what Trump is doing. And yes, this goes to the pedophilia network. This goes to their entire money laundering operation, which is not just in Minnesota. It's everywhere. We have to take down their drug smuggling, human trafficking smuggling, you name it. We have to remove the terrorists across the world. We need to shut down the Federal Reserve, which is the source of their operation. So this is a very big undertaking. It's something that people have never seen before or experienced before. At least that's alive right now. And this is what Trump is moving towards. This is about taking back the entire system, removing it from their grasp and giving it back to the people. That's what this has always been about. And this is why they're going to be fighting back very, very hard as we get closer to the midterms. And you can see every step of the way, they're trying to make ICE seem like they're the evil ones. And every step of the way, what are they going to do? They're going to have these criminals who are trying to interrupt ICE when they get captured, when they're arrested, they're going to continually lie and lie and lie. And remember, all the D's are going to lie. The fake news is going to lie. They're always going to lie to you every step of the way. Because once again, they know if Trump succeeds, which I do believe he will, they're all going to jail. And they know this. So what do criminals do? They lie. They cheat, they lie to save themselves. Every single time. And when you look at what ICE is doing right now, they're going after all of these illegals. This is what we voted for. This is what they're doing. And the only people that are trying to stop them are the deep state players, the ones that need them. The rest of the country doesn't want this. The rest of the country voted to get rid of these people. And you could see that this woman, Aliyah Rahman, she was pulled out of her car. She was arrested. And then she went in front of Congress and told a lie that she couldn't move anywhere. Her car was trapped. She didn't know what to do. She's autistic. She's handicapped. She was in this chaotic scene. And then all of a sudden, when you look at the video, you start to realize it was one gigantic lie. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement put this out and said, unfortunately for the media, we have the receipts. As shown in our video, Rahman clearly had enough room to move herself and her vehicle out of the way. Officers even walked away from her vehicle, thinking she was going to leave the scene. Instead, she remained at the location, continued to impede our officers, and found out the hard way. 18 U.S.C. Section 111 criminalizes impeding or interfering with federal officers. And when you look at the video, there was nobody in front of her. The officers were saying, just go, 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 go. She didn't want to do it. She decided to stay there. There was no reason to do this. And if she uses the argument, I'm autistic, well, maybe you shouldn't be driving then. You had open space. You could hit the accelerator. There was no one in front of you. There was no one blocking you. There were no cars even around you. You could have just drove off, but they didn't want to do it. They lie and they lie and they lie, just like Gavin Newsom is continually lying. Kristi Noem put this out and said the following: I'm urgently calling on Gavin Newsom to agree to not release 33,179 criminal illegal aliens in California custody back into the public without notifying ICE. The crimes of these aliens include 399 homicides, 3,313 assaults, 3,171 burglaries, 1,011 robberies, 8,380 dangerous drug offenses, 1,984 weapons offenses, and 1,293 sexual predatory offenses. Now, she put that out there, and what did Gavin Newsom do? Well, he responded to her, and he said, California follows the law, and we work with ICE to remove violent criminals, not innocent families. What we especially don't do is play politics with public safety or spread misinformation. Google is free, Kristi Noem. So he's saying that they're not going to do this. They follow the law, and we cooperate. Now, remember, he's famous for lying. You know they're going to release these criminals. That's part of their plan, and actually, it's a law in California. So we have United States Attorney Bill Isaili. He responded to Gavin Newsom and said that's a lie. California state's law prohibits county jails from handing over inmates to immigration authorities. It's illegal for them to honor a detainer, even if they wanted to. The law in question is the California Values Act, SB 54, signed into law in 2017 by then Governor Jerry Brown. The legislation bars state and local resources from being used to assist federal immigration. So once again, he's lied to the people of this country. Lied because he knows exactly what's going to happen. He knows they're going to be released. But on the public stage, he wants to make it seem like, oh no, we're cooperating. This is what these people do. And I think people now are becoming very, very clear and using common sense, logical thinking now and realizing that all these people do is lie. Now, again, if the fake news was in control, everyone would believe this. But since we have other social media platforms, everything that they do is debunked in a matter of seconds now. And they can't even stand by it. And the people now realize and understand that they're liars. And what's very interesting is you could see that since the Epstein files came out it's getting harder and harder for the deep state players. Because you have to remember, that system they were using, of course, it was used to blackmail. It was used to launder money. It was used to set up their entire agenda and what they wanted to do. And basically, they spent all this time trying to cover it up. And once again, it is falling apart around them. And this is not the only system. Yes, this is part of the main system. Because you have to remember, there's a part that you have to control everyone. And basically, how do you do this? You use their fetishes. You try to get the wealthy to come down the island to blackmail them. This is why you have the emails going out to many different people that you might see in the Trump administration right now, because he was trying to get these people. Remember, he's not going to go after the poor. He's going to go after the wealthy, the mega wealthy that have a lot of influence where he can pressure them into doing certain things. And this is why he invited these people down there. But you could see that they use that part of the system to control the people. They use the money laundering system to bring in the funds. They use the countries that smuggle women, children, drugs, oil to fund their system across the world, and to also train terrorists to terrorize certain areas, to put fear into people, to actually push certain laws that they need or take over certain areas. So you can see that the system is made up of many, many different parts. But you have to remember, where do they get all the money? That comes from the Federal Reserve. But there is something very interesting about Jeffrey Epstein. And Liz Churchill put this out and says, how was Jeffrey Epstein pronounced dead before he died? Because there is a United States memo that came out, and it shows that Epstein died on the 9th when actually he died on the 10th. Now, was this a template that they used and it just had the 9th date on there and they forgot to change the date and they used it for something else? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe he's not dead. Maybe Epstein didn't kill himself. Maybe he's being kept hidden for another reason. Or maybe he is dead and it was just a template. But we'll have to wait to see how this all turns out. But the other thing that's very interesting that came out is, and this is coming from Mario Nafal, Epstein used World of Warcraft gold to move money without getting traced. Back in 2007, Bannon was coincidentally running a Chinese company that sold in-game gold for real cash. After a few trades, good luck trading where the money came from. So they used video games to move money around. They also used video games to communicate with other deep state players. They didn't use their real names, they used handles. So that's very interesting. We were told about this going back in time, that they used video game platforms to do all of this. Elon Musk says Bannon was laundering money for evil people. Now, think about what happened when Elon Musk and Trump, I do believe, had a fake fallout. Elon said Trump was in the Epstein files. Trump worked with Epstein, and people went crazy. Holy crap. And then all of a sudden you saw the D's push for the Epstein files. Now, think about what they did. They tricked them into releasing the Epstein files. They're the ones who pushed it. And people saw the hoax. Now, Elon is saying that Bannon was laundering money for evil people. Wait a minute. This is a supporter of Trump. You think the fake news, you think the deep state players are going to look into this? You think they're going to push it? You think they're the ones who are going to push it out into the open? I do believe so. I think Elon, Trump, they just played everyone. And that is going to be very interesting. Now, the other thing that's really interesting, Ken Carr the Great put this out. He said the DOJ briefly uploaded, then removed an 86-page document titled Investigation into Potential Jeffrey Epstein Co-Conspirators. And the file contains interview summaries with alleged victims and individuals described as subjects of the investigation. Named and reportedly redacted subjects include Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel, Nadia Marcinkova, Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff. The document references sexual assault allegations involving Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Harvey Weinstein, Jean-Luc Brunel, Leon Black, Jess Staley, Prince Andrew, Glenn Dubin. It also includes an interview with counsel for Lex Wexner. According to Wexner's attorneys, Epstein was given sweeping control over Wexner's finances in the 90s with little oversight. Epstein allegedly sold himself Wexner's New York apartment and private jet at steeply discounted prices. In 2007, Wexner concluded that Epstein had misappropriated several hundred millions of dollars. Epstein agreed to repay $100 million in 2008, after which Wexner severed all ties. The document dedicates an entire section to an interview with Virginia Giuffre, who made many of the trafficking allegations involving Epstein and Maxwell and claims she was trafficked to powerful men. Notably, the report states, it bears noting that contrary to some news reports, these searches did not reveal any cameras in any of the bedrooms or massage rooms. A separate document includes a diagram mapping Epstein's inner circle and the same potential co-conspirators. The materials feature photographs and names of prominent individuals in Epstein's orbit, including Ghislaine Maxwell, Darren Indyke, Epstein's attorney, Richard Kahn, and the accountant, Harry Beller, the financial advisor, Leslie Groff, the longtime assistant, Jean-Luc Brunel, who died by suicide in a French jail while facing rape charges. 5 individuals identified as Epstein's employees had their names and faces redacted. Taken together, the 86-page report and accompanying chart indicate that federal investigators were examining a broader network of potential co-conspirators, particularly Epstein's female employees who were alleged to have helped recruit underage girls. These same women were widely reported as potential co-conspirators in 2019 following Epstein's arrest. Sarah Kellen, Leslie Groff, and Andrea Ross and Nadia Marcinkova were granted immunity in Epstein's controversial 2008 plea deal. In short, the potential co-conspirators identified in the DOJ's latest release of Epstein files appears to be the same individuals who have been publicly linked to Epstein's network since his original 2007 case. So that is very, very interesting. So let's see how that all plays out, but I do believe that this is all building right now, and we're going to see more and more information come out. Why? Because it looks like Ghislaine Maxwell is going to be testifying before Congress on February 9th. And Kimberly Auer said, that's very interesting. February 9th is directly after the Super Bowl and refers to post 2843. This is February 20th, 2019. And it says, the fun begins directly after. We'll make the Super Bowl look like a puppy show. So I do believe at this point in time, let's see how this all plays out, because this is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that we know that Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, she has been missing. And people started to notice something very interesting about this. The speech that Savannah Guthrie gave has a line in there from The Silence of the Lambs. Take a listen to this.
Full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
Catherine is very gentle and kind. Talk to her and you'll see.
So that is very interesting. Is that just a coincidence, or is something else happening here? Well, Trump, he was being asked some questions on Air Force One, and he said something that's very interesting. Ryan Savendra put this out and said, and this is coming from Trump, we have some clues, I think, that are very strong, and I think we could have some answers coming up fairly soon. I'm not talking about a search. I'm talking about a solution. A lot has taken place in the last couple of hours. So is someone holding her? And why would they be doing that? That's very interesting. Brian Cates put this out. If you think Savannah Guthrie's mom was kidnapped for a ransom because some criminal wanted a payday, you're still trapped in the Matrix. This is somebody trying to warn the mainstream media in face of the current Epstein disclosure ahead of the really, really bad stuff they know is coming. Remember, immediately after that last tranche of documents were released, all of a sudden our international elite class of baby farming, baby eating kid effing criminals were in an increasingly unattainable position, where some of them had to resign from important positions, which we've been seeing, and others were being forced into exceedingly awkward explanations and apologies. Well, how do you stop the train? How do you arrest the progress of the exposure of your baby-eating effing activities? When you try to come up with a way to do damage control where you make as very prominent public warnings to the mainstream media, you do not really want to go there and keep asking us awkward questions. Back the F off. It could be your mother next. Take the hint now. Who is she? Who is she pictured with? Where was the picture taken? Will Bill Clinton be asked on February 28th who she is and why he was with her on Epstein's plane? Stay tuned for developments. And he's talking about Rachel Chandler. So was this a message to the fake news saying, listen, don't go down this path because if you do, something might happen to a relative or something. So this is very, very interesting how this is all playing out. And we'll have to see what occurs because you have to remember Hillary and Bill right now are allegedly supposed to testify. And you can see Bill Clinton, he is panicking. This is what he put out on X. I will not sit idly as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican Party running scared. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this the right way in a public hearing where the American people can see for themselves what this really is about. So wait a minute. So in a closed door, it's a kangaroo court by the Republican Party. But out in the open, the same Republican Party, it's not a kangaroo court. What are they so afraid of being behind closed doors? Is that because they can ask them questions that have to do with national security, questions that are classified, and they are going to be forced to answer or have to plead the fifth? This is very interesting because out in the public, they can control pretty much everything that goes on. Plus, Congress is limited to what they can ask. Byron York responds to this and says, this is Bill Clinton's latest tactic after giving the committee the runaround, then stonewalling them, and then being shocked when 9 committee Democrats joined Republicans in voting to hold him in contempt. So if all of this fails and they can't get their public hearing, which I do believe they'll have that after the closed-door hearing, will their health start to decline before this? Or are they just going to go in there and say, we can't speak. We plead the fifth, we plead the fifth, we plead the fifth, all the way through the closed-door hearing? This is going to be very, very interesting. And think about it. As they're getting set up to testify, Pam Bondi announced they arrest a key suspect in the 2012 Benghazi attack. Who was involved in Benghazi? Oh, that's right. It was Hillary Clinton. So this is an Obama. So think about this. So for days after the attack in Benghazi, Obama and Hillary Clinton blamed the attack in Benghazi on a made-up story about a U.S. citizen who incited protests in Benghazi from a YouTube video about Islam. They continue with the story as the caskets of 4 dead Americans, including Ambassador Chris Stevens, were shipped back to the U.S. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton left the consulate to fend for itself and never sent military support to rescue the men trapped at the consulate. So now, this individual has been arrested. Now, the rules of money are being rewritten right in front of our eyes. The institutions that control the financial system aren't waiting, warning, or wishing. They are acting, buying gold and silver at an unprecedented pace. They're preparing for something. The question is, are you? For nearly a decade, Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver. As the world shifts to hard assets, the window to act is closing. Let Noble Gold show you how simple it is to protect yourself and your family. While everyone else is reacting to the news, Noble Gold clients are positioning. The understanding that when the rules change, you need assets that don't depend on the system. Visit X22Gold.com and download your free wealth protection kit. That is X22Gold.com. The rules are changing. Make sure you are ready. Or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. You think Hillary Clinton, Obama, you think they're feeling the pain right now? Every step of the way, slowly but surely, what is happening? They're putting pressure on Obama and Hillary Clinton. And when you continually put the pressure on them, what does this do? It makes them do stupid things. Pam Bondi put this out and said, on September 11, 2012, Americans watch horrified as our embassy in Benghazi came under a vicious terrorist attack. We lost 4 American lives that day. Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith in the State Department, and 2 CIA contractors, Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods. We have never forgotten these heroes, and we have never stopped seeking justice for the crime against our nation. In fact, from day one, Cash and Dan would sit in a meeting and say, we're going to get them. And they did. Today, I'm proud to announce that the FBI arrested one of the key participants behind the Benghazi attack. Zubar Al-Qawash landed at Andrews Force Base at 3 a.m. this morning. He is in our custody. He was greeted by Director Patel and U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro. So think about this. Is this guy going to sing like a bird in the spring? So let's say we have Maduro now, and now we have this individual. let's see where all this is going. This is going to be very, very interesting because you have to remember what Trump is doing. He's making the deep state players feel pain every step of the way. He knows every single crime that they committed. And every time you bring a person in that's going to testify against these people, show them the documents, show them the emails, show them all these things, which I think Trump already has already. You think they're not panicking? Of course they are. They're feeling pain every step of the way. This is what Trump wants to do to them. You made me suffer for the last 8 years. Well, you suffer right now, every single day. Feel the pain. Slowly but surely, I'm turning the screws. And the people are seeing, wait a minute, they just got this person. They just got Maduro. All of a sudden, Uranium One comes into play. All of a sudden, you're seeing the money laundering. All of a sudden, you're seeing the Epstein files. All of a sudden, you're starting to see all these things. You're seeing everything that they kept a secret for a very long time. They never wanted this to be exposed. And Trump is exposing it every step of the way. And this is why the EU, because they're involved in all this, remember, it's all one gigantic system. This is why they've been trying to censor people out in Europe. Yes, they have other reasons. They want control in the end. But right now, this is why they're censoring. This is why they implemented hate speech laws. This is why they said, oh, nobody can go on the net unless they're over 16, which means everyone above 16 has to show their ID. I mean, really think about this for a second. So once again, they're going to be looking for a way to shut down the flow of information. They tried to do it with the Digital Service Act, but it seems like that's falling apart right now. Gunther Eagleman put this out and said, right-wing president of Poland just vetoed the EU's tyrannical Digital Service Act, push that draconian censorship bill designed to silence dissent and control what can be said online. He nailed it when he said this. The state is supposed to guarantee freedom, not restrict it. Poland standing tall against Brussels' big brother nonsense. This is what real leadership looks like. No bowing down to globalist overlords. Poland remains strong ally of the U.S. and a fighter for liberty. Now, other countries like Hungary and the rest, they're completely against this. So think about what's happening right now. The powers that be, the deep state players, they want censorship. Countries within the EU are saying absolutely not. So if they don't get censorship this way, and they can't have censorship here in the United States, because again, we have the freedom to speak freely, plus we have social media platforms that they don't control, what are they going to have to do to shut down the flow of information? Because remember, the information that's going to be coming out is what? It's, let's see, everything that has to do with Epstein, who's involved in Epstein, their money laundering system across the globe, them creating terrorists, using terrorists across the globe, them doing treasonous acts. So do they want anyone to see this? Absolutely not. So what are they going to try to do? I think in the end, they're going to try to shut down communications any way they possibly can. And I think that's what they're going to try to do in the end. As we get closer and closer to the midterms and they see the poll numbers, remember their internal polls, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see these individuals ramp everything up. Yes, is it going to be chaos? Yes. Will they use a cyber attack? I think they'll use it in many different ways. I think they'll use it to shut down communications. I think they'll use it to shut down the financial systems. I think they'll have power outages. You have to remember, they have to make it look good. So they might not just shut down everything at once because that's ridiculous because nobody can see it. So what they'll do is they'll shut down one blue city. Oh, look, the news will say, there's a power outage in Chicago. What happened? Oh, it was a cyber attack. Unbelievable. Out in California, they hit the water system. Oh, out in New York, they hit all the cell towers there and they shut down community. They'll do it piece by piece to make you think that something's happening. And they'll probably have tickers on the screen to convince you we're being attacked all over the place. And they'll try to keep this up as best they possibly can. Now, to bypass this, I think we were told that we will get messages on our phone. Now, if this should occur, I do believe this is what's going to happen. Because again, they don't want the Trump administration to communicate with anyone else. They're going to try to control the narrative in all of this. Just like they try to control the narrative right now. Oh, look, we have Tulsi Gabbard. A whistleblower said that Tulsi Gabbard was holding back, all the documentation when this is not true. So you have to remember they still try to put out fake stories, even though they're not in control of the actual stories. And yes, that means that the Trump administration has to defend this. So they try to get the headlines out first, but again, it's always debunked afterwards. So you could see what they're trying to do here, and we'll see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that we could see is it looks like Trump now is making some moves out in the Middle East. And yes, he's trying to negotiate with the terrorists in Iran, just like he tried to negotiate with Maduro in the very beginning. And yes, Trump always goes down this path. He tries using negotiation, diplomacy. And once again, the deep state players, of course, they don't want that to happen. And eventually what he has to do is he has to go in and remove those individuals. And it looks like now he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on Iran. Because what do we see happening right now? Buzz Patterson put this out and said, 112 C-17s are in or on their way to the Middle East. Guys, that's a lot. Like Desert Storm, a lot. Stay tuned. Open source intel says a total of 112 U.S. Air Force C-17s have either arrived in or are en route to the Middle East, with another 17 to 18 flights currently in progress. So yes, something looks like it's about to happen. He might be using this as leverage to say, listen, you saw what happened to Maduro. Here I have the armada at your front door. And if you do not negotiate, you know what's going to happen. And we'll have to see how this plays out. We'll see how this all happens. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is you can see Trump is definitely preparing for something, is because the embassy out in Iran put out a security alert. And it says location, Iran, countrywide. Increased security measures, road closures, public transportation disruptions, and internet blockages are ongoing. The government of Iran continues to restrict access to mobile, landline, and national internet networks. Airlines continue to limit or cancel flights to and from Iran. U.S. citizens should expect continued internet outage, plan alternative means of communication, and if safe to do so, consider departing Iran by land to Armenia or Turkey. So that is very, very interesting. And this came out on February 5th. So the warning already went out, and I do believe that something most likely is about to happen. Will it happen this week? Next week? We'll have to wait and see. But again, I do believe Trump, he's trying to do whatever he possibly can to negotiate before he has to make the move. And he always gives the deep state players a chance. He always gives these people a chance. Do the right thing. But you know what criminals do? They never want to do the right thing. And most likely, we'll have to see how this goes in Iran. Now, the other thing that we can see, which is very, very interesting, is that Kash Patel has now revealed that the Biden-era FBI 1.0 buried the truth about China's involvement and ties to the biolab on U.S. soil. So this is very, very interesting. So Kash says his agency has resumed an aggressive counterintelligence offensive against China and its Communist Party that had been sidelined during the Biden presidency, but is concerned the prior administration may have buried the truth about dangerous biolabs on U.S. soil tied to Beijing. So he's saying there's a renewed effort that resulted in 40% increase in Chinese espionage arrests in the first year of the second Trump administration. And it looks like he's uncovering everything that the FBI 1.0 did to cover up everything that's in this country. So once again, you can see what Kash is doing right now with FBI 2.0. He's building the credibility slowly but surely, because you have to remember, the FBI, the DOJ, DHS, CIA, the agencies were basically restructured to protect the criminal syndicate. They were not there to protect the American people. They were not there to go after criminals. They were not there to bring people to justice. They were there to protect the criminal syndicate. And anyone that tried to expose the criminal syndicate, these agencies would go after them. Just look at January 6th. Those people that were protesting the overthrow of the United States government, they went up against the criminal syndicate. So what did the criminal syndicate do? Well, they said, okay, FBI, okay, DOJ, go after those people that are trying to show everyone that we overthrew the United States government. Make an example of those people. That's what they did. And that's what people are seeing right now. They're realizing and they're seeing the truth now that, once again, the insurrection was against the sitting president of the United States. It was against President Trump. This is why they took down his tweet at the time, go home peacefully and patriotically, because again, in the Insurrection Act, that's what the president says. He wasn't talking to MAGA. He was talking to the deep state players. He was telling them, stop what you're doing. And think about it. When did he say all of this? It was when they had the emergency session and they took the power away from Congress to reject the votes. He was telling them, stop it. Don't do this. And they did it anyhow. And once again, what is Kash doing right now? He's restructured the entire agency to go after the criminals. The DOJ was restructured to go after the true criminals. Same with DHS, same thing with CIA, same with everything else. So you could see that everything has now changed around, and we are now in agencies 2.0, not 1.0 anymore. And this is something the deep state players do not like. And every step of the way, what is Trump doing? He's dismantling the deep state system and exposing it at the same time. He exposed the FBI, DOJ, and now he dismantled that. He exposed USAID and the money laundering, the 14 computers in the Treasury. He removed a lot of the individuals within different agencies that have been laundering the money, exposing what's happening in Minnesota, what's happening in California, what's happening in New York, what's happening in Ohio, what's happening in Colorado, what's happening in Washington. All these areas, they've been laundering money. He's exposing all of it and dismantling it. He's exposing Big Pharma via RFK Jr. and dismantling everything that they put into place. They're restructuring HHS, restructuring FDA. And now look what Trump has done. He has now launched Trump RX to lower prescription drug prices. And basically, he's dismantling the entire Big Pharma conglomerate and now giving it back, the power back to the people. And we're no longer funding other countries while we're paying the high drug prices, and they're pretty much paying absolutely nothing. But you can see the deep state players, they're now prepping and preparing for what? They're preparing for the midterms. And you can see out in Boston, we have Mayor Wu. She has basically signed executive orders barring the agency from conducting unconstitutional and violent operations. Now, once again, ICE doesn't care about that. They went in there anyhow and actually are continuing their operations. The same thing with Ohio. Libs of TikTok put this out. Ohio State Rep Mohammed, who was born in Somalia, introduced legislation to hinder ICE and protect foreign criminals. Foreigners are trying to demand we weaken our national security and attack law enforcement. And once again, it's infiltration from within. And that's what you're seeing. They don't want ICE picking up all the people that got them into office, because that's how these people got in office. This is how the infiltration is happening. First, you bring in all the illegals. You prop certain ones up. You have the others vote for them into place. You take over a small town. You take over a city. This is how you conquer a country from within. Then you raise your flags and say, we just conquered Minneapolis. This is our city now, and we will install whoever we want. Why? Because we brought in all the illegals. We're now voting. We control this area. That's why we're raising the flag. That's what you're seeing in this country. They knew they couldn't attack us from outside. They could only do it from inside. And what's very interesting about, since we're talking about Somalia, by the way, Wall Street Ape says, you literally can't make this stuff up. Somalia just implemented a new program issuing voter ID cards to every voter. This is to ensure every voter can only vote once. An ID is mandatory for voting. But Ilhan Omar and Democrats reject ID for voting in America. Isn't that odd? Why? Because that's the only way they can be installed. And you can see that Kamala Harris, she's trying to make herself relevant. And it looks like everything that she was trying to do to make Kamala headquarters account, because she rebranded it as headquarters, it looks like this completely and utterly fell apart. Bad hombre put this out and said, the Kamala headquarters account, rebranded as headquarters, is run by Luminary Strategies, founded by Parker Butler and Lauren Kapp, alumni of the failed Harris Waltz campaign social media team. Headquarters funding comes from the leftist nonprofit People for American Way and Brian Tyler Cohen's Chorus. People for the American Way receives most of its funding from George Soros' Open Society Foundation. Brian Tyler Cohen was recently exposed in a scandal for receiving dark money from the 1630 fund and paying up to $8,000 a month to influencers like Olivia Juliana, David Pacman, Jojo from Jers, and lay politics girl McGowan to amplify coordinated content. The 1630 fund, managed by Arabola Advisors, receives its funding from three major sources: Burger Action Fund, Swiss billionaire Hansberg Weiss; Open Society Policy Center, Hungarian billionaire George Soros; Democracy Fund Voice, French-born eBay founder Pierre Omidyar. 12 people run by the headquarters account full-time. This is yet another coordinated propaganda campaign funded by leftist billionaires attempting to push their globalist agenda and sow division. Nothing organic or truly Gen Z about it beyond the faces used to represent it. And that's absolutely true, and that is going to fail, just like everything else. People now are catching on. People are seeing the truth. But you could see the deep state players, they're preparing. I think they're preparing riots with the cyber attack and everything else, not just here in this country, but around the world, just like they did it during 2020. It wasn't just COVID in this country. It was COVID around the world. Because look what's happening out in the Olympics right now. Visograd24 put this out and said, riots are breaking out in Milan as Antifa groups attack riot police. They claim to be protesting against the capitalist and colonial Winter Olympics. So they brought out Antifa. They're rioting all over the place. And I do believe this is in preparation for what is to really come. And I do believe they're going to go all out as we move forward. And as we move forward, you could see the deep state players, they do not want the police, ICE, or anyone else to use body cameras. Remember, they were all for it during George Floyd. Now, they don't want it. You know why? Because their story is falling apart. They don't control the narrative. And now with the video evidence, and you can hear what they're saying, well, that means everything just completely and utterly falls apart. Right Angle News put this out and said, Democrats are now backtracking, claiming that ICE using body cameras would infringe on the privacy of protesters. No, what they're afraid of is that people are going to see the video and they're going to see how they antagonize the police officers, the ICE officers. They're the ones who instigate all of this. That's what they don't want the people to see. Just like we talked about that one woman who said, hey, I had no place to go. I was trapped. And when you look at the video, what do you see? There was no one in front of her. The police were saying, go ahead, go. There's no one in front of you, no cars, no people, nothing, go. She didn't want to do it. Every step of the way, their entire narrative is falling apart. Just like their narrative fell apart with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, they're at the Olympics. And the story came out that they were booed when they came out. And again, it was debunked right away. Eric Doherty put this out and said, the fake news has just been caught red-handed lying that J.D. Vance was booed at the Olympics in Milan, Italy. Turns out video proof shows the crowd roared and the cheers were even louder than for Italy. The deep state, they're very, very desperate right now. They don't control the narrative. And think about this. Isn't it odd that everyone that is trying to kill or has killed people are always Democrats, and they always end up to be pedophiles or trans people? Andy No put this out and said, an Ohio man has been indicted for allegedly threatening to shoot and kill J.D. Vance. Shannon Marth is also accused of receiving and distributing child sex abuse content. Leftists have been encouraging people to kill in the Trump administration as revenge for deportations. But it always turns out to be the same exact people, which is very, very interesting. Think about it. Charlie Kirk, trans Democrat person. When you look at all the people going back in time, it always seems like they're either trans Democrat, and it always seems that they're always caught with child material. So think about who they're brainwashing. Think about the cult that they've created. And the cult is doing the dirty work of the deep state players. And soon Antifa, the illegals, and other criminals are going to do the dirty work. Now, since the Olympics are going on right now, we've had certain individuals that say that they're not proud to represent America. And once again, if you don't want to be part of America and you don't want to represent America as an athlete, you don't have to. It's a privilege to be on the Olympics. It's not a right. So once again, go someplace else and do this. And maybe these people should be removed. Cynical Publius says, if you're a member of the U.S. Olympic team and you publicly criticize the USA while on foreign soil, you're off the team. You have 15 minutes to gather your things in Olympic Village. Someone will drive you to the airport and push you out on the curb. Figure that out. And I think he's absolutely right. It's a privilege to be there. You're representing your country, and you're going to badmouth the country while you get this privilege? Unbelievable. But there's other athletes that are out there that they say they love the United States. They love everything about it. And you should love this country. Why do you think everyone wants to come here? It's strange. All these people say they hate the country, but everybody wants to come here. They want to bring in all the illegals. People, you ever hear anyone saying, hey, you know what? I really need to escape to China. I really need to escape to Venezuela. You never heard anyone say that. Why do they want to come here? That tells you everything you need to know. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is Trump now, he's now making it easier to fire federal employees. So Trump now is going to be draining the swamp very, very quickly. And basically, he's making it easier to discipline and potentially fire career officials in senior positions across the government, a move that would affect about 50,000 federal workers. And this is something the deep state players do not want. They do not want him firing the federal workers because, again, you have to remember those people that are in those positions, they're the ones who do the dirty work for the deep state players. They're the ones who launder the money. You get rid of those people, their entire system starts to fall apart. And you can see that they're panicking now because Trump and his administrations have the ability to deport people even though they don't have a criminal record. And it looks like we won a couple of cases. Secretary Kristi Noem put this out and said, for months, activist judges have ordered the release of alien after alien based on false claim that DHS was breaking the law. Today, the first court of appeals to address the question ruled that DHS Gov was right all along. Of course they were. And you have to remember that, yes, there might be appeals, and most of it will probably go up to the Supreme Court. But the other thing that's very interesting, like we just said before, and Trump put this out, the appeals court sides with Trump admin with mass detention ruling. So Trump can legally mass deport all illegals, whether they have committed a crime or not. A federal appeals court, they just ruled this, that the Trump administration can lock up the vast majority of people it is seeking to deport without offering a chance for bond, even if they have no criminal records and have resided in the country for decades, because, again, they're here illegally. They did break a law. So you think the deep state players, you think they're panicking right now? Oh, absolutely. They're panicking like we've never seen before. And you have to remember, everything that in this country was designed for the criminal syndicate. The fake news, the TV shows, they were designed one way, to get their people installed, to get their people elected. The criminal syndicate, the FBI, DHS, and the rest, they were designed to protect them. Everything was designed for them. And now Trump is letting everyone know we need to do something about the fake news. We need to do something about the TV shows because we need to break this up and we need fair reporting and we need to make sure that we have unbiased shows that actually go to both sides of the political aisle. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said the following: we need more competition against the enemy. The fake news national TV networks letting good deals get done like Nexstar, Tegna will help knock out the fake news because there'll be more competition and at a higher and more sophisticated level. Those that are opposed don't fully understand how good the concept of this deal is for them. But they will in the future. Get the deal done, President DJT. And he's absolutely right. Well, think about it. Like The View and all these other places, they're very, very one-sided. And it looks like Brendan Carr is now going after them. So yes, we need to compete against the enemy. We need to compete against all of this. And this is what we've been using social media for. Now we need to take it to the next level. And yes, the Trump administration is going to be going after all of this. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is you could see that they're definitely going after Tulsi Gabbard because she's going to be exposing the link between foreign governments and those people in this country. And you can see they're trying to stop Tulsi Gabbard every step of the way. So what are they doing? They're putting out fake stories. Kate Brown put this out and says, scoop, the NSA detected a phone call between foreign intelligence and a person close to Trump last spring. Whistleblower says that DNI Gabbard blocked agency from sharing report and delivered it to the White House chief of staff. Alexa Hennig says, your story is false. This headline is not accurate. Your leaker lied to you, and you ignored our request to give us time to get you accurate information and published your story before we could respond. You are a total loser being used by your sources, most likely Congress and other people in there. And what's very interesting is Hans breaks down the entire story. And he says, while the usual suspects rush to declare impeachment 3.0, let's look at the first sentence actually says, which is very different from the headline. And he puts it all out, and this is what it says. Last spring, the National Security Agency detected evidence of an unusual phone call between an individual associated with foreign intelligence and a person close to Donald Trump, according to a whistleblower attorney briefed on the existence of the call. So he broke it down to each word. Detected evidence, not even an actual call. Unusual, narrative fabrication. Individual associated, not foreign intelligence. Person close, could be almost anyone. According to, third-hand hearsay. Briefed on, never saw it. And that tells you everything you need to know about this. It's all fake, phony, and false. DNI Tulsi Gabbard responds to all of this and says the following. Senator Mark Warner and his friends in the propaganda media have repeatedly lied to the American people that I, or the ODNI, hid a whistleblower complaint in a safe for 8 months. This is a blatant lie. The truth, I am not now, nor have I ever been in possession or control of the whistleblower's complaint, so I obviously could not have hidden it in a safe. Biden-era IC Inspector General Tamara Johnson was in possession of it and responsible for securing the complaint for months. The first time I saw the whistleblower complaint was 2 weeks ago when I had to review it to provide guidance on how it should be securely shared with Congress. As vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Warner knows very well that whistleblower complaints that contain highly classified, compartmented intelligence, even if they contain baseless allegations like this one, must be secured in a safe, which the Biden-era Inspector General Tamara Johnson did, and her successor, Inspector General Chris Fox, continue to do. After IC Inspector General Fox hand-delivered the complaint to the Gang of Eight, the complaint was returned to a safe where it remains, consistent with any information of such sensitivity. Either Senator Warner knows these facts and is intentionally lying to the American people, or he doesn't have a clue how these things work and is therefore not qualified to be in the U.S. Senate and certainly not the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Here is a detailed chronology of the situation. June 2025, I became aware that a whistleblower made a complaint against me that after further investigation, neither the Biden-era IC Inspector General Tamara Johnson nor IC Inspector General Chris Fox found the complaint to be credible. The complaint required special handling and storage in a safe because the complaint chose to include highly sensitive information within the complaint itself rather than referencing the sensitive reporting and leaving the complaint at a lower level of classification. They did that on purpose so they can use the story about the safe. Security standards for complaints that include such sensitive intelligence require the Inspector General to keep the complaint and the intelligence reference secure in a safe from the time the complaint was made until now. In June 2025, after the Biden-era Inspector General Tamara Johnson completed her review of the complaint, no further oversight or investigative activity took place. So basically, it wasn't credible. They added the classified information to make it look like, oh, something was going on. They put it in a safe to use that entire story. Why are they doing all of this? Because they know that Tulsi Gabbard's going to find out the real information along with the FBI and the DOJ that they rigged the election in 2020. And what's very interesting is that the U.S. Attorney of Massachusetts put this out. A Colombian national who lived in the U.S. under stolen identity for 20 plus years, convicted by federal jury, defendant used stolen identity to vote in the 2024 presidential election, obtain a real ID, apply for a passport, and receive $400,000 plus in federal benefits. Sean Davis says, an illegal alien used a stolen identity to illegally vote. I'm sure this is the only time in history that has ever happened. And this is why they don't want anything that Trump is doing with the SAVE Act. Because again, there'd be checks, double checks, triple checks. And you would find out that most of these people cannot vote in the elections. And what's very interesting, it looks like there was a feed, a video, a parody video of The Lion King that was in the auto scroll part of Trump's feed. And the fake news went crazy over it because it shows Michelle Obama and Barack Obama as monkeys. And now, of course, they're using this as racist. But when you watch the whole video, you could see that, yes, the deep state players, they're all the different animals. And what is Trump? He is the king. I remember going back a little bit in time when there was a video about the hyenas where they're nipping and tugging at the lion, the king of the jungle. And when the time was right, the king, the lion, had to show the hyenas who was in control of the jungle. So I do believe this is what the message is right there. And again, they're trying to use this against Trump, saying that this is racist. But think about what Trump is doing right now. He's using this to his advantage. And think about it. Go back a little bit in time. Go back when they compared Trump to an orangutan. Orange man, they put up an orangutan. That wasn't racist. But with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, that's racist. How about when Biden was out there telling everyone, and Alec Lace put this out, telling everyone, listen, if you vote for Trump, you ain't black. Wasn't that racist? Actually, if you go back in time, Biden is very, very racist. So think about this for a second. So what does Trump do? He uses this to his advantage because the reporters are going to ask him about this, and he's going to tell them about election fraud. Storm Arai put this out and said, every time the fake news asks Trump about the Obama ape meme hoax, he gets to talk about the election fraud in Georgia because that's what the video was actually about. I just witnessed it during the press gaggle on Air Force One for the first time. Brilliant setup. And it is a brilliant setup. And basically, every time he talks about this, every time he has the press asking him questions live and it goes across and viral across social media, it gets the word out there, and more people see this. Rasmussen Reports asked a simple question and says, should election records be available for public review to ensure that results are accurate and prevent cheating in elections? All voters say 65% yes. So white, 64% yes. Black, 65% yes. Hispanic, 75% yes. So basically, everybody wants this. Everything should be transparent. We should count the votes. Everyone should see it. Everyone should have a voter ID. Trump is putting a huge amount of pressure on the deep state players. How? He is now exposing how they overthrew the United States government. And Trump, he put this out on Truth. He says, America's elections are rigged, stolen, and a laughingstock all over the world. We're either going to fix them or we don't have a country any longer. I'm asking all Republicans to fight for the following. Save America Act. All voters must show voter ID. All voters must show proof of United States citizenship to register for voting. No mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. Game over. And yes, with him producing how they rigged the election, I do believe it's going to be done. There's going to be so much pressure on the RINOS. Yeah, the D's are going to reject this all the way down the line. There might be a couple that won't. But you can see there's going to be so much pressure on the RINOS. They're going to have to fold in the end. And think about it. The fog of war is lifting. People now are seeing the true enemy. And we're going to vote the true enemy out of this country. Clint Destin put this out and says, what's happening now may seem murky to some due to the fog of war. However, in hindsight, it will be very clear to those looking back. The party who mutilates children, suppresses free speech, cheats in elections, steals tax dollars, etc., turn out to be the bad guys. Shocker. And that's what everyone's going to see. Yes, we have to go down this path because, again, Trump, he wouldn't be able to explain it to the people. You have to see it for yourself. You might know about this, but think about all the other people. And I do believe we're on the path to take back the entire country. And in the end, we the people are going to win. We're in the final countdown right now. Everything revolves around the midterms. Everything revolves around exposing everything that they've done. Everything revolves around securing the elections. Everything revolves around all the different pieces to the criminal syndicate. And if you look at what Trump is doing right now, it's all coming out slowly but surely, and they're all feeling pain every step of the way. And they'll feel pain to the very, very end. And soon we will have justice. Why? Because the patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.